CMSportsNet is made possible by Genova's To Go and by Carroll Lynx.
Hi there, I'm Pat Stoetzer, and welcome to a special episode of Game On. We're about to wrap up the 2023 Carroll County Fall Sports Season like nobody else, so let's not waste any more time. It's Game On. We've got you covered here on Game On as we look back at boys soccer, girls soccer, and football from the past season. You'll hear from the county championship coaches and see who we picked as Player of the Year from each sport. We'll take a look at the other high school sports too, plus check in with some of the top college athletes from McDaniel and the Carroll Lynx. Let's start with football, where 3 teams won playoff games and 1 made history at nearly every turn in 2023. Carroll County had 4 teams with 5 or more wins, and 3 teams finished with winning records this season. Time to look at the final Carroll County football standings, with Westminster winning the county title for a 5th time in 7 seasons. And Winters Mill started the year 8-0 and won a playoff game for the first time ever to advance to the state quarterfinals. Okay, now we dive a little deeper into the top teams with a quick football season in review. Westminster won the Carroll County Athletic League title by beating undefeated Winters Mill 34-10 back in Week 9. The Owls averaged 29.4 points per game. Westminster crafted a 7-game winning streak and went to the regional playoffs before Manchester Valley ended the Owls' season. Wins over Franklin and Walkersville gave Westminster some early season momentum. Then the Owls outscored their county competition by a combined 158-45. Winters Mill had its best season ever, and they defeated Williamsport in the playoffs to reach the Class 2A-1A state quarterfinals. Quarterback Caleb Crouch fueled the Falcons' offense with 556 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns on the ground. Big Mill ran for more than 2,200 yards as a team, led by Paris Lee and his 680 rushing yards. The Falcons' defense allowed less than 12 points per game, led by Nico Baez and Victor Tejada, to name a few. Manchester Valley won 5 regular season games and then put together one of the best efforts of the year with a 23-15 road victory against Westminster in the 3A West playoffs. They beat Williamsport in the regular season finale thanks in part to a game-winning field goal from Braden Fritz, who then kicked 3 more in the playoff game against the Owls. The Mavs were competitive this fall to say the least. Their 3 in-county losses came by a combined 22 points. Liberty turned things around after a slow start, and they finished 500 in county play. The Lions lost by just 1 point in overtime against South Carroll and just by 7 points against Westminster. They certainly held their own this fall. Liberty topped rival Century in the 2A-1A West playoffs and got 600 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns on the season from junior Kevin Poole. Blake Cox and Nico Marsicano were 2 of Liberty's top defenders. We've mentioned a few of the stats leaders from around the county, so let's see some of the other categories and the leaders in those. Liberty quarterback Chase Miller led the county in passing yards, and Owls QB Kyrese Walker had a completion percentage of better than 63%. Let's go to rushing now. Walker also led Carroll in rushing yards, and Man Valley's Isaiah Farabee was second. Also, check out Kevin Poole's yards per carry. Pretty impressive for the Liberty junior. Receiving stat leaders now with James Herndon and Tristan West leading the way in catches. Herndon with the 40 and West with the 34. Liberty and South Carroll with 2 leaders apiece in the top 7 for receptions. And let's not forget defensive leaders as well. Casey Heisley led the county in tackles, and Josser Donald led in sacks to give Westminster a nice 1-2 combo. Also noteworthy is James Herndon's county best 7 interceptions on defense. We've got more football for you. I recently sat down with Westminster coach Chris Bassler to talk about the Owl season and more. We take a look back at the county championship game from Week 9, plus we unveil the CMSportsNet Football Player of the Year candidates. Let's hear from the Westminster coach. I'd like to introduce Westminster football coach Chris Bassler. Coach, thanks for being with us today.
No problem. I'm happy to be here.
Coach Bassler led Westminster to an 8-win season, and he's 41-11 in his 5 seasons as coach. The Owls won the Carroll County Athletic League title for a 4th time in 5 seasons. Coach, you had talent all over the field this fall. What brought it all together and made it work for the Owls?
You know, we were really a young team coming into this year. You know, we only had 4 returning starters, but we had a really good group of, you know, I would say impactful seniors led by Kyrese Walker and Clayton Dorsey and Jalen Jones and Jackson Clark and some of those guys. And that, I think, really helped us kind of pick up where we left off last year and, you know, really get on a good roll there for most of the season.
Week 1, you're at home, you get Franklin. It's a really good game against two good opponents, and they went to the state quarterfinals this season. What was it like coming back in that game, getting the win against them, and setting the tone for 2023? How important was that for you guys?
I mean, I think it was huge. It like you said, we got down early, and then we're able to come back. And when you come back against a team like that, it's not a fluke.
Right.
And I think it really showed our guys what we were capable when we played our best football. I really think that second half of that game was maybe the best half we played all year.
Yeah. And then you get to the regular season finale, a huge atmosphere, Winners Mill undefeated, a true county championship game. What was that like when you get to play you play your rival in the last week of the season, and B, play for the county title in front of a packed house?
I mean, I think it was great. I think it was great for the county. I think it was great for our town, for our two programs. Coach Miller and I are good friends and have a lot of mutual respect. And, to be able to play it out like that on the field with that much on the line, I mean, that's why you get into sports. It's you want to play in big games, and for our kids to have that, and for us to come out on top, I know was special for us.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. Congrats again on another great season and another county title. Now it's time to take a look at the finalists for the CMSportsNet Football Player of the Year. Carroll County had plenty of standout football players this season, and you can see some on the screen. We have some good ones to pick from on both sides of the ball, and we're going to go through them alphabetically for you right now. Starting with Winners Mill senior Caleb Crouch. The quarterback linebacker was accountable for more than 1,000 yards rushing and passing, and he scored 11 touchdowns. Crouch anchored the middle of the Falcons' defense as well before going down with a knee injury in Week 8, but he certainly led Winners Mill to a lot of success this year. Manchester Valley senior James Herndon is up next. The Falcons receiver/defensive back led the county with 40 catches, and he scored 9 touchdowns. Herndon had 588 receiving yards, that was second most in Carroll County, and added a county-best 7 interceptions on defense. Next, we have Winners Mill senior Paris Lee. At running back, he went for 680 yards and 7 touchdowns. And at linebacker, he collected 64.5 tackles. That was second best on Winners Mill, and 5.5 sacks with 13 tackles for loss. Good season by Paris Lee. Next up, Westminster senior Kyrese Walker. The Owls quarterback ran for 1,141 yards and threw for 1,277 yards. He rushed for 16 touchdowns. That was the most in the county, and threw for 16 more. Walker accounted for 5 TDs in Westminster's win over South Carroll. Finally, we have Liberty junior Tristan West. The tight end receiver quickly became a huge weapon in the Lions' passing attack. West led the county with 815 receiving yards, and he also scored 8 touchdowns. He had the game-winning score to help Liberty beat Manchester Valley. Coach, a lot of good players in this county. Those are just some of the best. Let's talk about each one of those briefly. Caleb Crouch, we'll start with him in the same list. What would you say about him?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at him, you can start with how they were after he got hurt. Because he clearly was the engine that made them go in a lot of ways. And, was just a tough kid, and reminded me a lot of Jaron Rutter from FSK from a couple years ago. Just a hard-nosed kid that was just a good football player.
Same style of play.
Absolutely.
Yeah. James Herndon at Man Valley.
He was kind of just a big play waiting to happen. When you watch them on film, he was the one guy that consistently jumped out, and it did it in a lot of different ways. They threw a lot of screens and short passes, and to be able to be shifty and elusive like that, and also to be able to be a big downplay threat guy made him pretty special, I think. 2
ways on him as well. Another guy did that, Paris Lee.
Yeah, Paris is a tough football player. Yeah. He ran the ball hard, and it took that same mentality to playing linebacker, and was one of those guys that we had to key in on both sides of the ball when we played him.
Kyrese, you know him very well, Kyrese Walker.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure now of coaching Kyrese for 4 years, and when you look at the body of work he has, he's lost 2 regular season football games as a starting quarterback, and back-to-back years of going over 1,000 yards, which has only ever been done one other time in the history of our county.
Yeah, as far as we know, yeah.
And he's just a special kid, and I think I said this to you earlier. I think if anybody in the county was looking at our football players and was going to draft a guy, it's Kyrese. He's just that dynamic, that special, and we're going to miss him dearly.
Yeah. So. Liberty, Tristan West, what kind of year he had?
It's his I think burst onto the stage when he made that catch at the end against Man Valley, and we actually played on a Friday because we were playing South Carroll, and you guys were doing the coverage. We were covering all the games, so I got to watch that one live, and immediately put me into a little bit of a panic, thinking we were going to have to cover him.
You had him down the road anyway a few weeks later.
He's just a special talent. You get a guy that big, that strong, and that fast, and plays as hard as he does. I'm sure Coach Luth is thrilled he's a junior.
Yeah.
I think the rest of us are not so thrilled that he's a junior,
Right.
but he's a very good football player.
Yeah, they all were. Like we said, Westminster had its share of success this fall, and one game stood out. They wanted to recap one more time. Week 9, Winners Mill at Westminster for the county championship. Let's take a look. The Carroll County Athletic League Championship was on the line when Winters Mill invaded Ruby Field to take on Westminster in a Week 9 football showdown on Friday, October 27th. A win by the Owls would give them a 4th county title in 5 seasons. A victory by the Falcons equals the program's first ever county championship. These rivals know the stakes, so facing a 4th and short inside their own 30 doesn't deter the Falcons from going for it and getting the first down on this Tyler Carroll run. Westminster has success on its first drive, led by junior Raekwon Warfield. He takes off on a 42-yard scamper that puts the Owls in the red zone. And Warfield caps the drive with a 1-yard touchdown plunge. The point after makes it 7-0 Owls. Now Westminster has a 4th down play, and the Owls make the most of it. Tyrese Walker fakes the handoff and keeps it up the middle for a 42-yard touchdown sprint. Josh Wagner's PAT makes it 14-0 Westminster. Winters Mill misses a field goal and Westminster takes over. But a few plays later, the Owls botch the snap and Walker is tackled in the end zone for a Falcon safety. Big Mill on the board at 14-2, and that's the halftime score from Ruby Field. Warfield leads the Owls on their first drive of the 3rd quarter, and they benefit from a face mask penalty to get into the red zone. Walker then finds fullback Casey Heisig on play action for a 12-yard touchdown, and Westminster extends the lead to 21-2. The Owls keep rolling and open the 4th quarter with a splash. Walker to Isaiah Sprinkle for an 85-yard bomb as Sprinkle stays on his feet and races into the end zone. The PAT misses, but Westminster leads Winters Mill 27-2. The home team is salting this one away. After an interception by Rakim Warfield, the offense is back to work. And it's another touchdown for Raekwon Warfield. This one goes for 7 yards, and the Owls lead the Falcons 34-2 midway through the 4th. Winters Mill isn't quitting, and Austin Nuts finishes with a touchdown pass when he finds Tyler Carroll for 5 yards inside the pylon. The Falcons convert the 2-point play, but the Owls are already starting to celebrate. The final score from Ruby Field is Westminster 34, Winters Mill 10. The 8-1 Owls win the county title behind 139 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns from Raekwon Warfield. Westminster awaits a playoff opponent in Class 3A West. Paris Lee runs for 87 yards to lead the Falcons, but they suffer their first loss and are 8-1, 5-1 in county play. Winters Mill will be the top seed in the Class 2A-1A West region. Coach Bassler, your first impressions from winning that game were what? Take me back to Week 9.
I think we had, we talked all year about trying to put a complete game together, and we've played good halves and good quarters, and I think if you look at our season, that was by far our best game, from start to finish. I think that showed what we were capable of against a good football team. And, unfortunately, we turned around the next week and I think played our worst game of the year. But no, we knew it was a big game. And, we've been fortunate to play in a lot of big games. And, we're just glad to come out on top.
Yeah, well, like I said, congrats on a great season. And I'm sure Westminster will be a county title contender again in 2024. It was an exciting and historic football season in Carroll County, and congrats to Westminster for winning the county championship. Congrats to Winters Mill for its best season ever, and congrats to all the standout athletes we covered this fall. Stick around later in the show when we announce our pick for CMSportsNet Football Player of the Year. There were other highlights around Carroll County when it comes to fall sports. 3 teams finished their seasons with state championships, and there were stellar individual efforts as well. Time to take a look at the standings for volleyball, field hockey, and golf, and a look at the cross-country county meet team scores. First up is volleyball, where South Carroll and Westminster shared the county championship. The Cavaliers earned a piece of the title for the first time since 2000, while the Owls won their 6th in 7 seasons. On to field hockey, and you see Manchester Valley having clinched their first ever county championship. The Mavericks are joined by Westminster and South Carroll as regional champions. Speaking of South Carroll, the Cavaliers claimed the golf county title as well this fall for the second time in as many seasons. The Cavs won the county tournament, and Westminster took second, and you can see those teams were 1 and 2 in the overall standings as well. Man Valley won its first boys county title, where the Mavericks edged Liberty at the annual cross-country meet. And on the girls' side, Century rolled to its first team crown in 10 years, led by individual winner Taylor Colson. Century's Ryan Hartrance won the boys' race as well. Congratulations to those team and individual county champs from the fall season. We have a little more on South Carroll field hockey, South Carroll golf, and cross country a little later in the show, so stick around for that. We've got more fall sports to wrap up the show, so you keep it right here. Stick around later. We will announce our pick for CMSportsNet Football Player of the Year. And coming up next, we have our boys soccer season in review. So don't go away, because Game On will be right back.
Hungry? Genova's to go. Pizza, pasta, subs, and more. Fresh hot pizza right from the oven. Genova's to go. A mouth-watering cheesesteak just off the grill. Genova's to go. Fresh baked bread and plump wings seconds from the fryer. Genova's to go. Genova's to go carry-out, delivery, mobile device, and online ordering is available at all locations. Westminster, Hampstead, Manchester, and our newest dining room in Eldersburg. For lunch, dinner, or any time in between. Genova's to go.
Skill, dedication, leadership. Just a few of the things it takes to be named CM Sportsnet's Athlete of the Week. Hi, I'm Pat Stoetzer. Each week, CM Sportsnet recognizes an outstanding player for their contribution to their sport. Meet some of Carroll County student athletes and join us as we celebrate their performance, impact, and outstanding accomplishments.
CM Sportsnet's Athlete of the Week is brought to you in part by Barnes Bollinger Insurance Services. We're here for the home team. And by Genova's To Go. Pizza, pasta, subs, and more.
Hey there, I'm Pat Stoetzer.
And I'm Michael Duffy, inviting you to join us for The Score and more.
Each week we'll talk about high school sports in Carroll County. We'll share information about upcoming games, highlight coaches and athletes, and much more.
We'll even try to have a little fun along the way. Don't miss the Score and More podcast presented by CM Sportsnet.
The Score and More Sports podcast is available online at carrollmediacenter.org and on a variety of podcast channels.
Welcome back to Game On. It's time to take a look back at Carroll County boys soccer for the 2023 season, one that was filled with individual and team accomplishments. Two teams had the same in-county record, so tiebreaker criteria was used to determine this year's champ. And Carroll had its share of postseason success too, with a pair of rivals playing deep into the state tournament. Let's take a look back at 2023 Carroll County boys soccer. Westminster won their first Carroll County title since 2016, while Century and Liberty got hot in time for the playoffs and made the most of their opportunities. Winters Mill won 4 county games in a row and took 3rd in the standings. All right, time to look closer at some of the top teams from the past season. Westminster went 5-1 in county play and earned the crown thanks to a head-to-head win over Manchester Valley. Owen Street scored twice in that 3-2 win back on September 28th. 4 of Westminster's county victories came by 1 goal. Man Valley had its best season in some time behind a record-setting performance by Grant Miller, who moved into 4th all-time on the Mavericks points list. The Mavs went 5-1 in overtime games and fell to Oakdale in a regional final that went into penalty kicks. Liberty put together an 8-game winning streak that sent the Lions all the way to the Class 1A state semifinals. They defeated South Carroll in a regional final to advance to the state tournament, led by top scorer Lucas Britos. Century entered the playoffs at 6-7-1, but won 5 in a row and earned a spot in the 2A state final against Damascus. Nick McGinn torched the postseason competition, and the Knights posted 3 shutouts along the way this fall. Let's take a look now at the top boys soccer scorers from around Carroll County this season. Winters Mill's Reed Postlethwaite and Century's Nick McGinn each had remarkable numbers in 2023, and the Falcons had 2 of the top 6 with Postlethwaite and Maddox Schumann. All right, now we're going to hear from Westminster boys soccer coach Jim Reigel, who led the Owls to their first county title in 7 years. I recently sat down with Coach Reigel. We talked about the county as a whole and our finalists for CMSportsNet Player of the Year. Joining me now is Westminster boys soccer coach Jim Reigel. Coach, appreciate your time here today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Westminster won 5 in a row and 6 out of 7 matches after an 0-1-1 start, and they wrapped up the county title with a 3-0 win over rival Winters Mill back on October the 10th. The Owls went 5-1 against county opponents, and 4 of those wins were by 1 goal. And I'll ask you, Coach, how would you assess the season you guys had to win that county title?
I mean, we were resilient. I mean, I think it goes back to that Liberty game.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely had us with about 12 minutes to go at 3-1. Started making some adjustments from our sideline, going, okay, it's time to get some guys a different look and so forth. And then all of a sudden, a snap, and it's 3-2. And then you, as a coach, you're caught with a decision. Like, what do you do?
Right.
Like, do you go with a change? Do you let the momentum that's starting to go ride and see where it takes us?
Yeah.
That particular night, we decided to roll the dice and kind of go with where they were going. And some senior leadership stepped up, some sophomores stepped up, and we ended up pulling off that last-second victory, and I think it carried right over into South Carroll the next match. I think we slid under the radar a little bit. With 3 new coaches coming into the county, you kind of think those guys are going to rise to the occasion to meet the needs of new coaches for a new program. And things started to filter its way out, and I think what I thought was going to happen, I think Steve was able to pull off at Century towards the end, getting them to the finals, and I know Donnie made it very far at the 1A.
Semifinals, right.
To the semifinals. So I think what I was thinking was there, and I know Andy put together a game plan against us in particular, but I think they played everybody very hard in the county, which is what I was anticipating from his end, and they almost snake bit us pretty heavy.
Right. You already mentioned the balance. Let's go to the defense. 6 times your defense allowed 1 goal or fewer this fall, and that obviously goes a long way to you helping the team win a county title. How did you see that unit make progress, this fall from where you started to where you guys finished?
I think some adjustments. One of our center backs, well, first things first, Owen was our only really true returner, and he played the same exact role last year as he did this year.
Right.
He popped into the right back, and then as his attacking going forward, we kind of started him in a midfield role. And we ended up having, around about time, 5 fresh new starters in that mix, with sophomore on the left side, sophomore and center back, an untested junior, and then use Owen's senior experience as the outside back, but we would pop other guys in there. Another junior, Will Donovan, filled that role. Then you had Anthony McPeak as a sophomore in goal. So we really didn't know 100% what was going to show up consistently. So to keep us within that statistic of 1 goal, sometimes when you have youth and inexperience, those 1 goals don't come in your favor. So that's a new statistic I haven't really paid attention to. So I appreciate hearing that. And we fought. They believed in where they were going, what they wanted to achieve.
Right.
And to their credit, that last game against Winters Mill to go 3-0, they bounced. They bounced back from the Century, because Century had our number.
Yes.
And they definitely put us away quick. and some of the bigger weaknesses we had. We didn't own our block. I think Nick put 3 goals on us.
Yeah.
And penetrated 1 goal off of the run of play, but I think the other 3, I think they all came off Nick, were the set pieces, the corners and throws, and so forth.
So they answered that challenge there.
Absolutely, especially with young guys filling that void.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Yeah. You mentioned other boys soccer in the county. Let's go through a couple of them. You mentioned Century. They reached the Class 2A state finals before they fell short against Damascus, but the Knights got hot in time for the playoffs, and they made that deep run. Coach mentioned Liberty. They won a regional title, first for the Lions since 2010. They won 8 games in a row to get to the 1A state semifinals. And then we also mentioned Manchester Valley, a really challenging schedule. It paid off with a 10-win season. They went 5-1 in the county, and they finished second in the standings in the Carroll County Athletic League. Plenty of quality boys soccer teams, Coach, from the county this year. What did you see around the county? You've already talked a bit about it, but just it seems competitive was the theme. Every game was something you had to plan for.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the amount of players that are playing in club outside our immediate area. I mean, we still have our foundations of the local organizations with their select process, but guys, as they get into the get to the high school level, they start to branch out and go to the higher clubs in the metro area. And I think it comes back to the home.
It's a big deal.
And they start to contribute how they gel. Going forward, they all grow up. That's what's awesome is seeing the county competition is you can see which ones see each other on a regular basis. The relationships. I mean, you think 20, 30 years ago, it was like that rivalry that you're like, eh. But now it's like they want the bragging rights, but it's almost like they're the gentlemanly, the sportsmanship that you see at the higher level. And the international level, that camaraderie exists, which is nice. Makes it a lot easier as a coach to just kind of focus on your team, issue a challenge, see how they match it back and forth, and afterwards you're doing more of the congratulatory shaking up versus worry about whether or not little Jimmy or Joey or want to get a piece of somebody afterwards. Boys, we're about shaking hands, get this job done.
Appreciate the comments. Hang tight. It's time to unveil our 3 finalists for CMSportsNet Boys Soccer Player of the Year. And you'll see on the screen who the finalists are. All 3 were vital to their team's offensive success. We're going to go alphabetically and begin with Century Junior Nick McGinn. Coach already talked about it. The midfielder moved into a forward role during the season and flourished with 26 goals. That was the most in Carroll County. McGinn tore up his postseason opponents with 13 goals in 6 games. Next up is Manchester Valley senior Grant Miller. The forward set Mavericks records with 15 goals and 33 points on the season. He finished 4th on the team's all-time points list and netted the game winner in overtime to beat Century back in early October. And then lastly, we have Winters Mill senior Reed Postlethwaite. The forward led Carroll County in scoring and had 25 goals to go with 57 points. He notched a hat trick in a win over Frederick, and he netted a goal in a victory over South Carroll in early October. Coach, I'll get you quick thoughts on all 3 guys, and you can start with Nick McGinn. You've already talked about it a little bit here, and then what you saw out of him.
I mean, Nick, he has that role within Century. It's a key piece, working the state tournament, seeing how his presence was there. Damascus had to pay attention to him to see how he could rise to the occasion for that piece. As a junior, I would say he's got to be earmarked to something going forward to say, what is he going to bring now? And as I said, I reaped that benefit with Jimmy Gogo last year. And Jimmy coming in as a junior was like, okay, I inherited this program, here we are. And then as a senior, he really rose to the occasion. So if this is what Nick's done as a junior, what is going to come next year? And it all depends on, his preparation, how Century shifts and shapes their way towards what they want to build off of this year. I mean, I think it's a pretty young team still returning, and last weekend probably leaves a taste in their mouth that they want to get back to it.
They talked about that
so
too.
I think he took care of us. Their game plan was quite nice, and he executed. And that's the big piece, is a goal scorer is going to execute. So he got us in the air a lot. I want to see how he does things off the floor and then the flow of the game and the natural thing. And I think if those 2 come together, he's going to be a big force.
Grant Miller, what'd you see out of him this year?
A goal scorer. I mean, striker, balls in his area. It wasn't a whole lot of dilly-dallying from what I saw. It was a quick shot, which made it, you give him a window of opportunity, he's going to execute. He's going to get that shot off versus, can I get one more touch? Can I get this defender beat? Can I break his ankles? Not worrying about that. Can I get that shot? Get it on frame. If the keeper's not ready, flat-footed, his chances are it's in the back of the net and the damage is already done.
That's an added piece to his
game.
And
I know that's what he did with us, the 2 opportunities he had. Like that. Ball came played in, cut around that defender, pulled the trigger for the defense, even had a chance to shift.
Sure.
Goalkeeper wasn't 100% set.
Wow.
And he put the ball in the back, hitting the upright support in the back of our net, and put us in a hole.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate, again,
Right.
resilient,
Right.
to fire our way back in our own way.
Sure.
And then Reed,
Repost away, yep.
probably the most athletic of the three.
Okay.
For when I think about his lacrosse experience,
Sure.
think about his pace.
Yep.
He probably is truly the most valuable piece of the three programs.
Okay.
I know in our game, deep presence, the ball was coming in.
Yes.
He got a couple in. Like our McPeak made some profound saves
Yeah.
and breakaway in that first half.
Early in the game, too.
That could have set the tone totally different
Yes.
for us. But that athleticism with the lacrosse.
Sure.
Kind of like that quick speed, north-south. If you don't adjust and give too much gap, allow him to kind of attack at you.
He's going to get behind you.
He's going to get behind you,
Yeah.
and then problems are going to come.
Right.
So I think Winters Mill needed him the most. So probably from a program perspective, he might be the one that gets the tip of the cap.
Okay. In depth as always, Coach Jim Reigel, thanks again for your time, and congrats on the county championship season.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Quite the boys' soccer season with 2 players eclipsing 50 points and 1 team coming up 1 win short of a state championship. Congrats to county champ Westminster and all the other success stories from 2023. There were Carroll County state champions this fall, so let's take a look at those teams and individuals who shined the brightest this past season. We begin with South Carroll field hockey. The Cavaliers earned the Class 1A title by beating Pocomoke 2-1 behind a game-winning goal from Kalen Yankel. The Cavaliers have lost to Pocomoke 5-1 in the 2022 state title game. South Carroll had 2 team state champs thanks to the golf team's 2A-1A first place finish at the state tournament. Their 2-day total of 633 beat runner-up Poolesville by 25 strokes. Patrick Carl and Michael Valerio led the Cavaliers' charge during the University of Maryland tournament at the University of Maryland. Another fall state championship belonged to Liberty's boys cross-country team. The Lions had 4 runners in the top 7 of the field and ran away with the 1A team crown. Liberty now has 8 boys cross-country state titles in its program history. Gregory Shellberg, seen here running at the county meet, had little trouble on the Hereford High School course and cruised to victory, giving Carroll its first boys state champ in 8 years. The county had another individual state champ when Century freshman Taylor Colson won the 2A girls race by 4 seconds. Colson won county, regional, and state titles in her varsity debut. Very impressive. Plenty of championship hardware being passed out this fall. Congrats to all of the Carroll County state winners. We still have the boys soccer player of the year to unveil, so stay tuned for that coming up in a little bit. And we keep it focused on soccer and jump into the girls season as well. Plus, we'll take a look at some of the standout athletes from the fall college sports seasons at McDaniel and Carroll Community College. So stick with us. There's more to come on Game On.
Hungry? Genova's to go. Pizza, pasta, subs, and more. Fresh hot pizza right from the oven. Genova's to go. A mouth-watering cheesesteak just off the grill. Genova's to go. Fresh baked bread and plump wings seconds from the fryer. Genova's to go. Genova's to go carry-out, delivery, mobile device, and online ordering is available at all locations. Westminster, Hampstead, Manchester, and our newest dining room in Eldersburg for lunch, dinner, or any time in between. Genova's to go.
There's a lot about Sarah and Tara that's exactly alike. They drink the same coffee, they have the same great job, and they both have a high-quality education. The only difference? Sarah spent her first 2 years at Carroll Community College, getting the same exceptional education, but at less than half the cost. So while Tara uses her paycheck to make student loan payments, Sarah can use hers for other things, like going out for coffee. Get started at carrollcc.edu.
skill, dedication, leadership. Just a few of the things it takes to be named CMSportsNet's Athlete of the Week. Hi, I'm Pat Stoetzer. Each week, CMSportsNet recognizes an outstanding player for their contribution to their sport. Meet some of Carroll County student athletes and join us as we celebrate their performance, impact, and outstanding accomplishments.
CMSportsNet's Athlete of the Week is brought to you in part by Barnes-Bollinger Insurance Services. We're here for the home team. And by Genova's To Go. Pizza, pasta, subs, and more.
Hey there, I'm Pat Stoetzer.
And I'm Michael Duffy, inviting you to join us for The Score and more.
Each week we'll talk about high school sports in Carroll County. We'll share information about upcoming games, highlight coaches and athletes, and much more.
We'll even try to have a little fun along the way. Don't miss the Score and More podcast presented by CMSportsNet.
The Score and More Sports Podcast is available online at carrollmediacenter.org and on a variety of podcast channels.
Welcome back to Game On. We're into the second half of our show now, but there's still plenty of fall sports to break down, so let's dive back in. 5 girls soccer teams posted 500 or better records in 2023, and 4 of them had winning records to boot. And 2 of them claimed regional titles along the way. Let's go ahead and take a look at the girls soccer standings, where 4 county squads posted those winning records against Carroll County opponents. Leading the way was Century at 5-0-1, and the Knights claimed their 5th straight county title and 10th in 12 seasons. South Carroll took second in the standings 1 year after making it to a state championship game. South Carroll's offense netted 12 goals in their 5 county wins. The Cavaliers knocked off Liberty in their regular season finale. Now we take a closer look at the top girls teams from this past season. Century put together an unbeaten streak of 13 matches in a row that sent the Knights into the 2A state quarterfinals, where C. Milton Wright prevailed in penalty kicks. Harley Hamlet led the Knights with 11 goals, and Bella Cosio added 6 assists. Century posted 8 shutouts on defense, led by Megan Rusk and Mia Savage, and the Knights allowed only 3 goals against county opponents. Westminster got stellar efforts from Emerson Hill and Jennifer Vasquez to finish 3rd in the county. The Owls' season included county victories over Liberty and Winters Mill, and a postseason win against Manchester Valley. Liberty had the second most wins of any county team this season, thanks in part to standout Hannah DeVincent, who led Carroll in goals and assists. The Lions avenged their loss to South Carroll with a playoff victory over them, and later played in the state quarterfinals and lost in overtime to eventual champion Havre de Grace. You heard about a few of the scoring leaders from the fall. Let's see a few more from 2023. Bryce Sarver gave Liberty a nice 1-2 combo on offense, and Winters Mill had the same with Hannah Neski and Kira Malam. Addison Davis led South Carroll in scoring with 9 goals and 4 assists. Century added another county title in girls lacrosse, and I recently sat down with Knights coach Chris Little to talk about his team's success, the county as a whole, and the candidates for CMSportsNet Player of the Year. So let's check it out. Joining me now is Century girls soccer coach Chris Little. Coach, thanks for being with us once again.
Thanks a lot, Pat. Appreciate it.
No problem. Let's talk about how the Knights put together another county championship season in 2023. The program's 10th in 10 years. Very impressive. When did you know, Coach, this team had the potential to put together a championship caliber season?
You know, it's really interesting. This summer we worked really hard together as a team. We saw some of the new players coming in. We were looking for an opportunity to build upon what had happened the prior year, but by no stretch of imagination did we take it for granted that we would be able to repeat as a county champion.
Right.
So we were very humble as we walked into this season. So it was very humbling.
How pleased were you with the team's defensive efforts? You graduated the reigning player of the year and goalkeeper,
It's
Mia
supposed
Graff.
to be a down year and things like that.
It wasn't, obviously. So how pleased were you with the way they started from August to late October, early November?
You know, we actually started really early with this. After our exit interviews from the prior year, we talked to one particular player, Megan Rusk, and said, hey, Megan, we're going to ask you to move out of the midfield, and we're going to ask you to be a defensive center back.
Yeah, wow.
And she was apprehensive, and she really took it upon herself. She worked hard in the gym. She got a speed coach, and she really stepped up for us big. We had two outside backs, Jane Brewer and Sheridan Klein, who graduated, but we had Natalie Maddox there.
Yeah.
And finally, with Mia Savage, able to step in and really provide some solid defense. Not to mention two really good goalies. It was a good experience to go through for us, so we are excited.
How about the schedule your girls played? I know it was by design, a lot of challenging opponents. How did they approach so many difficult opponents and continue to have success the rest of the way?
You know, I'm a big believer in that if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. So when we put together our schedule this year, we said, you know, we've got really 6 quality opponents in the county. I think Carroll County soccer is fantastic, but we wanted to play the best teams in the region. So we put Mercy on our schedule. We put St. Paul's on our schedule. We knew that NDP had always been competing at the top of the, you know, the private school league. But you add a River Hill, you add a Towson. Those teams were 5 of the 6 of those teams were ranked in the Baltimore Sun's top 10 at one point or another this season. So
it's impressive.
We want to be able to play the best to be the best.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the Carroll County soccer for a minute. South Carroll took second in the county with a 5-1 record, and Westminster and Liberty also posted winning records in the CCAL. The Lions won their first regional title since '96 when they fell to Havre de Grace after that in overtime. They were the eventual 1A state champs. What can you say about the quality of Carroll County girls soccer in 2023?
You know, I was really impressed. I mean, you know, we've had a couple new coaches in the county who've done a fantastic job with their programs. You know, and you look at Liberty, it's always a solid team. South Carroll and Andrew had a great season as well. I think there were some really competitive battles, you know, as you went throughout the county. I mean, Westminster, you know, beat Liberty, I think, on their own home field. And so you know that every time you go into a county game, it's going to be competitive. So it's credit to the coaches and the players.
No doubt, no doubt. Time to unveil now the finalists for the CMSportsNet Girls Soccer Player of the Year. We take a look at the screen, you'll see 3 players who helped their teams put goals into the net. All 3 had postseason success as well. So we dive a little deeper now into each selection. We go alphabetically, and we will begin with Liberty Junior Hannah DeVincent. The midfielder posted 17 goals, the top mark in the county, and she added 19 assists. DeVincent started the fall with a hat trick against Gerstel, and she finished with honorable mention All-State honors. Next is Century senior Harley Hamlet. The midfielder led the Knights with 11 goals and 27 points. That was 3rd best in Carroll County. She netted 6 goals in those county games and 15 points as well, and she scored in Century's 1-1 tie against Liberty that helped clinch the county title. And finally, we have Westminster junior Jennifer Vasquez. Another midfielder, Jen, was the anchor for an Alice team that went 4-2 in county play. Vasquez totaled 5 goals and 5 assists for 15 points, and she gave Westminster a powerful foot on corner kicks and free kicks. Coach Little, your thoughts? We'll start with Liberty's Hannah DeVincent.
You know, there are very few players that I ever have to say I have to plan for. As we go into a match with a team, Hannah is certainly at the top of that list. You know, what she does for her team, whether she is, you know, sliding back into the midfield, whether she's up top trying to score, you always have to know where she is. So if there's a player that really deserves this honor and recognition, it's certainly Hannah, because she is a fantastic all-around player. Those 19 assists, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, definitely. Another impressive one, your own, Harley Hamlet. I mean, you've seen her for a long time. You talk a little bit about her.
You know, I'm biased here. I really appreciate the way Harley comes to every game to work hard and a grinder. You know, she's had some really fantastic goal opportunities, but she has been a leader this year. She was our captain. She's made the team around her better. A couple headers that have been really fun to watch this year, but you know, there's no one that works as hard as Harley on our team to bring everyone up to the level she wants to be.
You mentioned Westminster and Jennifer Vasquez, another player that everyone had to keep an eye on. How'd you see her play this year?
You know, Jen is somebody that I remember when she played with Coach Danny at, you know, the Freedom Explosion soccer team in the youth world. And I always just remembered her because I was reffing those games going, oh my gosh, who's this player? Oh no, she's at Westminster and we have to deal with her now. I really have a lot of respect for her and what she does for her team. She's, again, a hard worker and everything goes through her. So, Pat, you picked really 3 really good players.
And there's plenty more than that. Like you said, there's not only 3, those are the 3 we came up with. Coach Chris Little, thanks for spending some time with us on the Fall Sports Wrap-Up Show. Fall sports is in the books, and CMSportsNet had Carroll County covered once again. A big congrats to all the team's coaches and athletes for what they did on their fields this season. Now we have some college sports to talk about before this GameOn episode comes to a close, so let's jump into it. McDaniel College women's soccer won 12 matches in 2023 and earned a spot in the Division III NCAA tournament, then advanced to the second round for the 3rd time in 5 seasons. The Green Tear had 3 first-team All-Centennial players in junior goalie Lauren Houlihan, junior midfielder Jess Weinelt, and grad student Kirsten Crowley, the Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Carroll Lynx had 2 men's soccer players earn all Region 20 honors. Midfielder Zach Gagler received honorable mention, and midfield/forward Daniel Wakowiak earned second team honors. Wakowiak led the Lynx with 7 goals and 15 points this fall. For volleyball, outside hitter Carly Badorf was all-region second team, and fellow outside hitter Maria Karen was honorable mention. Badorf led Carroll in their inaugural season with 186 kills, and Karen was next with 108. McDaniel women's soccer went 12-4-5 this fall, while Carroll men's soccer won more games in 2023 than they did the previous season. Volleyball went 7-9 in their first campaign. When we return, it is time to announce the CMSportsNet Player of the Year winners for boys soccer, girls soccer, and football. So don't go away. Game On is coming right back.
Hungry? Genova's to go. Pizza, pasta, subs, and more. Fresh hot pizza right from the oven. Genova's to go. A mouth-watering cheesesteak just off the grill. Genova's to go. Fresh baked bread and plump wings seconds from the fryer. Genova's to go. Genova's to go carry-out, delivery, mobile device, and online ordering is available at all locations. Westminster, Hampstead, Manchester, and our newest dining room in Eldersburg. For lunch, dinner, or any time in between. Genova's to go.
What's the best gift you can give yourself? Pursue your passions. Explore your creativity. Expand your knowledge. Treat your mind and body. Give yourself a better you. With personal enrichment classes at Carroll Community College. Join us at carrollcc.edu/personal enrichment.
Skill, dedication, leadership. Just a few of the things it takes to be named CMSportsNet's Athlete of the Week. Hi, I'm Pat Stoetzer. Each week, CMSportsNet recognizes an outstanding player for their contribution to their sport. Meet some of Carroll County student athletes and join us as we celebrate their performance, impact, and outstanding accomplishments.
CMSportsNet's Athlete of the Week is brought to you in part by Barnes Bollinger Insurance Services. We're here for the home team. And by Genova's To Go. Pizza, pasta, subs, and more.
Hey there, I'm Pat Stoetzer.
And I'm Michael Duffy, inviting you to join us for The Score and more.
Each week we'll talk about high school sports in Carroll County. We'll share information about upcoming games, highlight coaches and athletes, and much more.
We'll even try to have a little fun along the way. Don't miss the Score and More podcast presented by CMSportsNet.
The Score and More Sports Podcast is available online at carrollmediacenter.org and on a variety of podcast channels.
Welcome back to Game On. We've almost reached the end of our fall wrap-up show. Before we get to the Player of the Year announcements, here's a look at the Athlete of the Week recipients from the fall season. Now, CMSportsNet recognized some of the top athletes from the fall season and gave them their moment in the spotlight. We saw football, boys soccer, and girls soccer players alike earn the weekly honors, and we congratulate them on their success this season. Keep an eye out, though, as we resume our Athlete of the Week recognition in the winter sports season that is fast approaching. All right, time for the Girls Soccer Player of the Year, and we had 3 candidates in line for the award. Liberty's Hannah DeVincent, Century's Harley Hamlet, and Westminster's Jennifer Vasquez. And the 2023 CM Sportsnet Girls Soccer Player of the Year is Century's Harley Hamlet. The senior forward led her team in scoring and helped the Knights capture the county championship. I recently went down to Eldersburg to chat with the latest Player of the Year.
Harley, congrats on a great season. Another county championship, another run to the state tournament. I know it didn't end the way you wanted it to, but looking back on the year, had some time to soak it in. What was this like playing your senior year and having so much success again on the soccer field?
Like you said, obviously not the way we wanted it to end, but if honestly going back, I wouldn't want it to happen any other way. I mean, we made it far. We won regionals again, and that was a goal for us. So although we didn't make it all the way, it's still it holds a lot of memories, and I'm really grateful for everything that happened this season.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that too. You're a captain this year again, and there's responsibilities there and things like that. Did you have a conversation with yourself at all during the year or in the summer to say, hey, I'm going to be looked upon as one of the leaders on the team. I'm going to do this and this, or was it did some of those things just come naturally to you?
I say a lot of it comes naturally. I don't know. I've always been a leader. I've never been afraid to say what I want to say, and I think that motivates people in a way because they'll come to me for advice and they know I won't lie to them. So I feel like people look towards me for guidance in certain ways.
Definitely a good attribute. You did a lot of damage in those county games, had a lot of success. Everyone knows those games are more important, but did you make sure to talk to your teammates and talk to your coaching staff, and they all communicated that, hey, these are the games that mean more. We have to step up our game to the next level because, again, you were the reigning county champions, and everyone was sort of you had that target on your back. Did you know going into those games that they meant that much more to you guys, and obviously you turned into wins on the field?
Our other captain, Megan Russ, said it right from the beginning. Our first county game, the county start now. If we want to repeat what we did last year, we have to start and focus now. And just going with every game after that, she continued to say the same thing, and I think we were just ready to come out and prove to everybody we could win it again.
The game with Liberty is always a good one. I know you guys had their number. Lopsided win last year. This year, much more contested game. You get the goal and you get the tie, and it helps you win the county title. What's it like playing in games like that, even on the basketball court and the lacrosse field? When you play your rivals like that, it takes things up another level, I would assume.
Yeah, we always know county or rival games are going to be different. It's just a different atmosphere. So even if you're supposed to come in and win or lose, it's anybody's game at that point. There's a lot of other emotions and stuff that comes into play, so it's really anybody's game.
Yeah, and then you guys obviously have had a lot of success, and you had a lot of success on all three of your sports. You get basketball about to start up, and then lacrosse not too far out. I asked you this a few months ago or so. Where do you find the time to balance it all, and how do you sort of balance get a break is what I'm trying to say. I know you told me you don't really like that much of a break, but your last two seasons are coming up here, so you're looking forward to them, and how do you make it all work?
I don't know. It's just what I'm used to. So going through everything, it's the fun of just always getting up, having something to do. When I had that week off, I was so bored. I didn't know what to do with myself. So just being back, knowing I can contribute to something and it makes me happy is what I like to do.
Well, good luck in your next two seasons, and congrats on a great soccer season once again.
The Girls Soccer Player of the Year is sponsored by Barnes Bollinger Insurance Services. We're here for the home team, Barnes Bollinger Insurance Services. And by Genova's To Go, locations in Westminster, Hampstead, Manchester, Hanover, and Eldersburg. Genova's, pizza, pasta, subs, and more.
Harley is certainly a busy high school athlete, and 1/3 of her senior year is in the books after that outstanding soccer season. Okay, time to switch over to boys soccer now, and another CM Sportsnet Player of the Year. As we did in girls soccer, we had 3 finalists for the boys soccer award. Century's Nick McGinn, Manchester Valley's Grant Miller, and Winters Mills' Reed Postlewaite. And this year's CM Sportsnet Boys Soccer Player of the Year is Man Valley's Grant Miller. The senior came up big in the clutch for the Mavericks en route to their best season in many years. I caught up with Grant recently up in Manchester to talk about his season. Time to hear from the senior.
Grant, congrats on an awesome year. Take me back to the beginning of the season in August. When you guys started practicing, what kind of goals did you set for yourself? What kind of goals did you set for the team? And then going forward, how do you feel like you accomplished them? Goals first.
Well, the goal for the team was just for us to, get a high region seeding so we could have home field advantage here, kind of just play as a team. Coach Woodley always emphasized synergy, just kind of using chemistry as a unit of bonding with each other, and we definitely accomplished that. So.
For you yourself, did you go into this season thinking you had a chance to be a record setter like you did this year for Man Valley, be one of their all-time leading goal scorers? It had to be a nice perk to what you put all the work you put in during the year.
I had no idea. Yeah, it was awesome when I was told that like I broke the record, so that was pretty cool. But that definitely wasn't the goal coming into the season. The goal was definitely just to win some games. So
when did you feel things turn in the right direction for you guys? You know, it's a program that hasn't had a lot of wins in the recent years, and this year you guys set standards. Was there a moment in the season where you thought, hey, we're putting this together, we can make a really long run and surprise some people?
I mean, we always believed in ourselves, since like the end of last year. We always knew we had a good group of guys that would always be there, be consistent for us. But honestly, like going into like the summer trainings, we just knew that we had like a pretty good team.
There were some memorable moments during the year. I can think of the Century game. You guys won in overtime. Are there any moments that stick out in your mind that you left the field thinking like you just said, we put in a lot of hard work. I know these guys are good teammates. And, was there a game or even maybe a week where you guys thought, we're really putting it together?
Definitely our tournament week. We had Middletown and I think Hartford Tech. And, we killed Middletown, but then we also drew Hartford Tech. And we're like, these are teams that they're pretty good competition. These are out-of-county teams. This is when we put kind of our mark on the map and stuff. So, yeah.
And that leads me to the next question. Your schedule was really tough. You guys played a tough county schedule, and the out-of-county schedule was brutal, but you guys got through it. You had a great overtime record. How did those games get you better as a team and better as a player to try to make a playoff run like you guys did?
I mean, it's definitely awesome playing, like people on the all-state list. There's like Tuscarora, Oakdale. There's some pretty good competitors right there. It just definitely got us prepared for our region, which is the same teams, but also outside of it, in-county play seemed a little easier than what it was if we played, easier teams.
You get a little bit of a break here between soccer and basketball, but you go from soccer to basketball and basketball right to lacrosse. We saw you do that last year too. How do you balance it all in as a three-sport athlete and a guy who's a leader now, a veteran at the school and the programs you play for?
It's a lot, but it's awesome just kind of having a different group of guys that also we just like each other, kind of bond a lot. It's fun to come to practice when you enjoy the guys you're with.
Right. Last things, your most favorite memory from this year from soccer, what would it be if you could put your mind and your finger on one thing that you really will take away from the most from this season?
Probably Alex Martinez scoring the game winner against Liberty. That was definitely awesome. We haven't beat them in a while, so it was awesome we put that goal in.
Congrats on a great year, man. Good luck in the winter.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
The Boys Soccer Player of the Year is sponsored by Barnes Bollinger Insurance Services. We're here for the home team, Barnes Bollinger Insurance Services, and by Genova's To Go. Locations in Westminster, Hampstead, Manchester, Hanover, and Eldersburg. Genova's, pizza, pasta, subs, and more.
Grant etched his name into the Mavericks record books in 2023, and now it's off to boys basketball for another three-sport athlete. One more CM SportsNet Player of the Year to go, and we head over to football where we put together a list of 5 finalists for the award. We have Winters Mills' Caleb Crouch, Man Valley's James Herndon, Winters Mills' Paris Lee, Westminster's Kyrese Walker, and Liberty's Tristan West. And the 2023 CM SportsNet Football Player of the Year is Westminster's Kyrese Walker. The senior signal caller put together another impressive season and led the Owls to the Carroll County title. We recently chatted with the Owls quarterback about this year's accomplishments, so let's hear from the Player of the Year. Kyrese, congrats on a great year, county championship and success really from the beginning of the season all the way to the end. Think back to when you started in August. I know you guys set goals for yourselves. How do you feel like you accomplished the goals, and you personally and as a team as well?
I mean, to win a county championship is good, but at the end of the day, we wanted a state championship. And at the beginning of the season, I said I didn't want to end up as last year, and stuff happens, though. It's football, so you live to fight another day. You
mentioned the county championship, and really you guys set the tone in the very first week. A really good game here against Franklin. You're down double digits at halftime. Take me back to that week just for a second about setting the tone. What did you talk to your guys about in that game that got things going in your direction? Because that could have gone the other way, and who knows how the season goes at that point.
I mean, this year I took a major role in the team. Losing Fish and all those guys last year, we came out with a young team, and coaches and the leaders on the group, the captains, we just said we got to come through, and we did.
Yeah, and really set the tone for a great year. Last year you ran for 1,000 and threw for 1,000, and this year I know that maybe wasn't in the front of your mind, but you did it again. And that's when defenses know what to expect, or they're going to target you and double you sometimes if they have to, things like that. Yet you still did it. And a lot of that is credit to your teammates, but it's also a lot of work you put in. How much extra time were you out there with your receivers, your running backs, your coaches, making sure everything was right each and every Friday?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows to be successful and to be the best on the field, you got to work to be the best. You don't just come easy. But at the same time, it wasn't just me. We did it as a team, as a coaching staff. We assembled together. And, you know, the stats they don't really mean nothing. I'm just out there to help my team win, and that's really it.
And it's been a lot of wins in your whole career. Week 9, undefeated Winters Mill comes into town for the county championship game. Big, huge atmosphere, packed stands. I mean, it haven't been too many true county title games. You guys have one. You guys won in convincing fashion. What was that like, and what was it like to get a victory against the guys down the street? I
mean, my junior year really hurt not to beat South Carroll. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, you know, this year it felt good, but at the end of the day, it's not like a state championship. You know, it's a county championship. I mean, a county championship is still good. It's still hard to win games. Sure. You went 8-1 or 8-2. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it was a season. It was a good season, but it wasn't the season that we hoped we had.
Does that give you a little bit of motivation and fire for what might be coming down the line? We don't know yet. Obviously, you got a lot of time to make a decision. But if you're going to keep playing, is there a little bit of that, some fuel for the fire as you want to keep your career going in sports?
Yes, sir. Junior year, that was my fuel to come out this year with the fire. And, you know, season ended early, sadly, and that's going to make me go harder, too. So.
Well, it's fun to watch, man. Congrats on a great season and a great career.
The Football Player of the Year is sponsored by Barnes Bollinger Insurance Services. We're here for the home team, Barnes Bollinger Insurance Services, and by Genova's To Go, locations in Westminster, Hampstead, Manchester, Hanover, and Eldersburg. Genova's, pizza, pasta, subs, and more.
Kyrie's football career with Westminster isn't finished just yet. He'll be representing the Owls in the annual Baltimore Touchdown Club All-Star Game on December 9th down in Baltimore. Well, time to close the book on the fall 2023 sports season here at CMSportsNet. And what a fall it was with state champions and record setters throughout the county. It was fun to watch, and I hope you had fun too. And that's it for this week's special episode of Game On. As always, we thank you for watching. Winter sports are starting soon, and CMSportsNet has got you covered there too. Stay tuned for a preview of the Carroll County winter season coming next week with boys basketball, girls basketball, and wrestling. Be sure to catch all of our high school sports content online on Facebook and YouTube, as well as our website at cmsportsnet.com. And you can watch us on cable channel HD 1086. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Hungry? Genova's To Go. Pizza, pasta, subs, and more. Fresh hot pizza right from the oven. Genova's To Go. A mouth-watering cheesesteak just off the grill. Genova's To Go. Fresh baked bread and plump wings seconds from the fryer. Genova's To Go. Genova's To Go carry-out, delivery, mobile device, and online ordering is available at all locations. Westminster, Hampstead, Manchester, and our newest dining room in Eldersburg for lunch, dinner, or any time in between. Genova's To Go.